Welcome to the Marketing Millennials, the No BS Marketing Podcast. I'm Daniel Murray, and join me for unfiltered conversations with the brains behind marketing's coolest companies. The one request I tell our guests, stories or it didn't happen. Get ready to turn the up. Welcome back to another episode of the Marketing Millennials podcast. Today, we're diving into a topic that doesn't get talked about in marketing circles enough, but can make a massive impact on your career and personal growth, and that's community involvement. And today, I'm joined by Aya Robinson from Opry Entertainment Group, which operates some of the most iconic venues across the U.S. But today, we're not talking about concerts. We're talking about how getting involved in your community can shape your career, open unexpected doors, and help you build a network that actually supports you. In this episode, we're breaking down why community involvement is a game changer for marketers, which community you should join, how to go beyond transactional networking and actually build relationships, and how being active in your local organizations can lead to unexpected career opportunities. Let's get into it. Hey, Aya, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Daniel. Thank you so much for having me.
First of all, a quick question. What is your favorite performance you've seen at the Grand Ole Opry before? Because everybody, she works for the Grand Ole Opry.
Oh my gosh. I've gotten to see so many great artists perform at the Opry during my time at Opry Entertainment Group. Let's see. I've gotten to see Carrie Underwood perform there live, Kelsey Ballerini, Lady A. Yeah, it's kind of hard to choose just one.
You can't choose. I actually went there, I think probably like 3 years ago with my wife Ari, and we saw Trisha Yearwood, which was pretty cool. So that was cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I want to go into topic for today. I know you moved to Nashville without knowing anybody, and this is a common thing with a lot of people. They move to a city, they don't know anybody, but what pushed you to get involved in industry groups, and how did that shape your experience as a marketer?
Yeah, so I moved to Nashville in 2018. I'm originally from Hawaii, and I studied at Menlo College in California, and moved out here to work in music in 2018, and I didn't know anyone. So when I first got here, I honestly just made friends through work. I knew a couple of people in the Middle Tennessee area, but no one like in Nashville proper. And some of my coworkers at my first job here in town, which was at BMI, Broadcast Music Inc., had mentioned a couple groups, one being Young Entertainment Professionals and another being the Women's Music Business Association. And they just told me that they were great groups to get plugged into, to meet other people, in the same industry. And then I also kind of looked into the American Marketing Association on my own, just to try to meet with other, marketers in the area. And I've made some really great friends through all of those different groups. And it's just been a really great experience, and I think has given me so much support living in a place that's very far away from my family. So
I know a lot of people think of networking as just like showing up to events or adding people on LinkedIn, but how's that different from like true community involvement?
Yeah, I think it's one thing to show up to an occasional mixer and to network, try to make connections, and there's certainly nothing wrong with that. But finding a group, or if there's a few groups in your city that have like-minded people who have interests that align with yours, I've just made so many friends that way. So not only peers in my industry in music and peers in my field in marketing, but those connections that I've made have really become personal as well. They're people who support me in my career and who I've been able to learn from and grow, both in my knowledge as a professional and as a person.
One thing I hear a lot from marketers, and I felt this the same way too, is marketing can be very lonely, especially even if you're in a city with people you do know. So, how has that strong, like peer network helped you with that?
So I can definitely relate to marketing sometimes feeling isolating. I think working in marketing, there's so many different specialties within it, and it's such a broad field. That when you're meeting other people outside of this field of work, they ask you what you do. Sometimes it can be really hard to explain what that is, and for people to understand, what your day to day life as a marketer looks like. And so having other marketers in your area who you can connect with, I think is really important.
For someone to say, because I just moved to a new city, what would you recommend for me, like the first steps to start doing to like make new marketing friends, or meet people that are like minded like me?
I would definitely, well, one, just Google, see if there are groups in your area that are related to either the industry that you work in. There's also local American Marketing Association chapters all over the country. Pretty much every major city has a chapter, so that's a great place to start. Um, but yeah, just looking online, also checking LinkedIn. I've actually made some good connections with other marketers on LinkedIn in Nashville as well.
And could you share an example of like how being part of a community has directly impacted your career opportunities?
So I joined the American Marketing Association here in Nashville in 2021, and I got to meet a lot of people through the chapter there. And I have been able to make connection with someone there named Edwin Acevedo, and he's been a great resource to me. He is an expert in all things web marketing, SEO, and he's just been a really great mentor in terms of helping me learn different areas of web marketing that I might not have learned before that I've been able to apply directly to my work at my current job. And then I've also got a friend that I met through Young Entertainment Professionals named Stephen Frost, and he's also a fellow marketer within the music industry. And we've been able to really support each other over the past few years through, different jobs that we've each been in, different, phases of life. And I think he's one of the few people I know here in town who not only is a marketer but also works in music. So not only does he have the same line of work that I do, but we also work in the same industry. So having that connection has definitely been a big support to me. Also, the Women's Music Business Association, which I was an officer in 2023. I was a marketing co-chair with Mackenzie Adkins. She is also another marketer in the music industry. She works for a company called Rhonda and Co. And she and I helped lead the marketing for that organization in 2023. She's also now the president of the Women's Music Business Association. And getting to work with her was just a really great learning opportunity. Just being two young professionals trying to revitalize the marketing strategy for a nonprofit. All the skills and knowledge that I learned from that volunteer opportunity, I think, has really expanded my view of marketing as a whole.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think us as marketers don't, well, at least I'm talking for myself. There's so many opportunities around us that we could take advantage of in our community. I mean, the first place you can go is go on LinkedIn, find, like you said, find people in your area, find first degree, second degree connections, just cold reach out. So many people would want to meet you. Second is finding those organizations where either they could be marketing organizations or professional organizations, even anything that has to do with community will help balance those things. But I also want to know, what is the right balance? Because I know you have a job at the Grand Ole Opry. You also have a social life. So how do you balance all community involvement with your life and your work?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, so I really think it just comes down to, prioritizing, what's going on in my life. If work is in a really hectic season, sometimes I have to kind of lean back on the amount of community involvement that I'm a part of. For instance, last year at my job was a pretty hectic year. So after serving on the Women's Music Business Association's board in 2023, I decided to step back for 2024 to focus more on work. I was still able to show up to meetings and to connect with other members. Just wasn't necessarily connected in that you know serving opportunity at the time. But I think it's just a matter of taking stock of what you need to prioritize, and also since I'm a part of a handful of organizations here in town, sometimes I have to kind of rotate between them. If I'm actually going to a mixer for the American Marketing Association tonight, and sometimes their mixers will conflict with other events that I have with the other organizations I've mentioned. And I haven't been able to go out to a mixer of theirs in a couple months, so I decided, I'm going to prioritize this one, go out and see those friends that I have there, and make some new connections.
I'm going to ask you from the opposite side of the spectrum. What are some things that these organizations or could do to attract people, marketers in there? What are they doing well? What are they doing wrong? You don't have to name names of who's doing what, but how could they do better at attracting? What should they do more of? What should they do less of? How could they make it more of a place that people want to show up to?
I would say that organizations that I'm part of here in Nashville, at least, do a pretty good job of doing outreach to grow their membership. I'd say with, AMA, at least, there's definitely an opportunity for them to directly connect with companies in town, to reach out to, their HR departments directly and say, hey, we know that you've got, a sizable marketing team. We just want them to know that we're here to be a resource. We would love to get connected with them, and to share any, tools that we have.
I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions. Just say whatever first comes to mind. What is the best networking event you've ever attended?
I think actually one that I attended last night over Zoom might be up there. It was for the Recording Academy, and it was a Zoom peer networking mixer between the Nashville and New York chapters. So they had a call of, I think, over 30 or so people on Zoom, and they kind of broke us out into different breakout rooms, and we got to, just chat with other people that were a part of that mixer. And I got to meet so many people from the New York chapter that I otherwise would have never had the opportunity to meet. So that's definitely up there.
What is one industry group every marketer should join?
I know I've harped on it a handful of times, but I would definitely say the American Marketing Association. They have a chapter in pretty much every major city in the United States. They put on monthly mixers and panel events, and a lot of different opportunities for marketers to get connected.
What is the biggest networking mistake people make?
I would say going into it with an attitude, and I wouldn't say that everybody does this, but if you go into networking with the attitude of purely of what can I get out of this, I think you're losing out on a richer, deeper connection that you can have with the people that you're meeting there. I think if you go into it with the mindset of how can I learn from these people, what are things that we have in common, and maybe what are things that are different that I wouldn't know about that I can learn from them. I think just having a really open mindset is key.
One thing that's really hard is keeping those connections going after an event. So, what is the best way to follow up with someone you met after the event?
I would say make sure to, before you leave the event, obviously ask them, what's the best way to stay connected with you? And I would say pretty much every person has a different preference. Some people prefer to use LinkedIn. In the music industry here in Nashville, a lot of young professionals prefer Instagram. Some people prefer just to connect over text. So just making sure that you ask them before you leave and getting that contact, and then following up with them the next day and letting them know, hey, it was really great to meet you. Would love to stay connected and meet up for coffee or drinks, or, you know, uh, setting up a follow up date as soon as you can so that you can continue that relationship.
What's the best career advice you've ever received?
I'd have to say being flexible. My dad has always told me ever since I graduated college to be flexible. You never know, what's going to happen in life and what opportunities are going to come your way. So being open-minded and flexible and open to new opportunities is very important.
That's a good one. I once was told by a boss at the company that I was working at, like, always take an interview, even, and they were my boss. But I think sometimes you don't know if that could be like your dream job or a job you want to go and you're stuck in this way. So if an opportunity comes by, at least see it, hear it out, and try look for it. I think that's it might be the opportunity you've always been looking for. I mean, if you're in your dream job now, maybe not, but I always like, even if you can make a connection with that person or that company, it could be beneficial down the road. Lastly, is what is a marketing hill you would die on?
Oh, marketing hill I would die on. Listen to your customers. You know,
I like that.
it's one thing to assume you know what your customer wants, but you cannot be asking them what it is that they think would improve your product or service.
And the last question I have for you is, where could people find you, what you're doing? How could they network with you?
Sure. You can feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm on there pretty actively. Um, that'd probably be the best way to stay connected. I'd be happy to chat with anyone who's tuned in.
Cool. So if you're in Nashville or you want to meet another marketer, Aya works for the Grand Ole Opry, or Opry Entertainment Group, I should
Mhm.
say. But one of the places is Grand Ole Opry. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your tips. I think everybody needs to. I'm talking about myself. I shouldn't even talk for everybody. I know that I need to be more involved in the community and find more groups and meet more marketers. So this is my push to start doing that. And if you're not doing that,
Yeah,
this is your push to
yeah.
start doing that
And if
today.
you don't mind me sharing one personal anecdote, um, last year during the summer, I actually ended up having to go home on medical leave for a couple months due to some medical issues. And thankfully, my work was very supportive and understanding of that. And really, what motivated me to want to come back to Nashville and to continue living here so far away from home was the community that I've so gratefully been able to build here. So a lot of those connections and friends that I had made through these different organizations were there for me during that time as well. So you just never know how these professional connections are going to impact your overall life.
Yeah, I mean, the ultimate goal is they're not only your acquaintances, they're actually your friends that you hang out with and do stuff with and there for you. So I think, yeah, this is such a good and reminder for people. If you're in a new city or even in your old city, your city that you've been living in, just go and join a group or go to a mixer or join the AMA, and or go right now and DM someone on LinkedIn and grab a cup of coffee with them, because your network we'll always be there to support you if you do put in the work to do that.
And I'm sure everybody that's tuning in, listening to this, they also have so much knowledge and unique skills that they're able to offer others, even if they don't realize it, and sometimes you don't realize how much you have to offer until you're actually involved in a group like that.
Well, this has been great. Thank you so much for coming on, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much for listening. Keep tuning in to hear more great insights from the coolest marketers from around the world. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and follow the Marketing Millennials podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like what you hear, I would greatly appreciate you giving us a 5-star rating. It helps bring more marketers into our community.